All right, welcome everybody. Bobby Irma here for the Power of Connection broadcast, and with me is Stewart Reynolds, aka BrittleStar. Welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm delighted to have you. I've been following your work for a long time, and we'll get to that in a moment. First off, I want to welcome everybody here. If you are joining the conversation, by all means, please comment below. Let us know where you're from, where you're calling in from. We're trying to get as many people as part of the conversation. And you'll.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate
my
it.
phone is so loud. People are coming in here, which is great. So we're notifying people. They're going to join. If you like what you're hearing, tag people. You can like, clap, heart, light bulb, smiley face, and that'll be totally cool. Yeah, there's so many things you can do on LinkedIn with the live stream. But this is also live streaming on Facebook and on Twitter. So reply to us, comment, engage, ask questions. Stuart's a very, very, very busy Canadian. So we have to make sure that we leverage his time here with us today and do the best we can. So with that, the Power of Connection broadcast, I'm doing these more often now because of the creator mode on LinkedIn. So I want to share more video content. And so interviewing some really awesome people is great. And Stewart, should I call you Stewart or BrittleStar? What should I call you?
You can call me whatever you feel comfortable calling me. It's funny because I've been called BrittleStar for so long that I answer to that now. Like Amber Mack just calls me Brittle when she's referring to me in the same room. She'll be like, "Hey, Brittle." I'll be like, "Okay."
What does that even mean, BrittleStar? What's the origins?
Well, it started in 2004. I started doing music under the name BrittleStar because I wanted to have a name other than my name, and I made an album. And when I was choosing a band name, my oldest son, Owen, who was 3 at the time, had a marine life book. And as part of this marine life book, there's a section on starfish. And one of the types of starfish are called brittle stars. And they're long and spindly. They look gross. They can see through their tentacles and they defecate out of their mouths. And I was like, that's the name for me. That's perfect.
I love it. That's great. Well, again, we are here with Stewart, aka BrittleStar, on Twitter and on Facebook and many other platforms. He's a social media expert, but he also has tons of viral videos that are very funny, very informative, and very engaging. And I've seen, but sometimes they're also quite provocative. And he had one the other day that was quite political and sharing the frustrations that all of us are having during the pandemic. And I thought it was a really moving video. So I reached out to him to share his story. And so we're going to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about the creative content for creative videos that are comedic in nature and how to make them go viral. At the same time, we're also going to talk about the pandemic. So let's start with the fun stuff at first. And if those who are here and you're hearing this, reply with questions. Ask Stewart anything you want, or just even let us know where you're from. Are you from North America, South America, Asia, Africa, Europe, Antarctica? Let us know because we typically get people from all over. So that said, Stewart, how about we start with you sharing a bit about your story? Because I'd love for people to know your story and maybe highlight some of those really cool videos. And I mean, for me, the first place I knew you was the meme of Canadians and the chips. That was like the best thing ever. So share a bit about your story, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Sure. So basically my story is that I've always been involved in music. So production and that kind of stuff has always been interesting to me. For about 10 years, we had a web development company, and that blew apart spectacularly in the recession, essentially, but unrelated to the recession necessarily. It was actually, we were hacked and it kind of blew apart. And so kind of left us kind of spinning, like we didn't know what to do. Things got really horrible money-wise for us. And in 2013, February 2013, my youngest son, Gregor, said to me, "Hey, listen, have you seen this app Vine?" And Vine was an app that had 6.5-second videos that would loop, just keep on playing. Very like an early precursor to like TikTok or something. And I was like, this is cool. And he's like, it's a video version of Twitter. And I was like, great. So I started messing around with that. And I did a couple of videos just to make myself happy, like just for something to do. My wife was out working at her job. My kids were at school. I was at home trying to figure out what we should do. And I thought, well, I can't make videos on my own. I'm a middle-aged man. That seems silly that some middle-aged man would be making videos on his own with his phone. So of course I used a 12-inch Chewbacca doll, which is actually, he's hiding back there behind the tulips. So I did that, and then I'd get people in town would be like, well, this is funny. You should do more of this. So I did more of those videos, and then I started to really kind of lean into it and kind of like, oh, well, maybe there's something here. And then I did a video called "Put Your Finger on the Screen" in August of 2013, which got like a million views in the first 12 hours. And I went up about 150. I had 3,000 followers at that point, which was amazing. and I went up to 150,000 within about 12 hours. And then it just kept growing after that. So we did more. It was exciting. And then about a month after that, Disney contacted us and said, would you guys like to come down to California? You can make some videos there at home. Then we'll have you down for this event called Social Media All-Stars. And when we were down to this event, along with such luminaries as Grumpy Cat, RIP, but we were down there at this Social Media All-Stars event, and I would ask the people, the other creators who was there, I'd say, like, well, what do you do? And they'd be like, well, YouTube. And I know, what's your job? They'd be like, YouTube. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So this is a thing. So I vividly remember Shannon and I Shannon's my wife, having a conversation that evening after meeting these creators and asking them about it and saying, why aren't we doing this? Like, this seems like we get to travel with our kids. We actually get paid, which is amazing. And we get to have fun. So why wouldn't we do it? So it kind of snowballed from there a little bit. It certainly wasn't smooth sailing entirely, but I mean, it's been a phenomenal ride in the past 8 years, and I hope it continues, knock wood. It's, I've been invited to the White House. We've worked with the Property Brothers for many years, Gordon Ramsay, people like Alan Thicke, and we've done stuff for Entertainment Tonight. And it's just been a really kind of weird but fun ride. And it was just a case of, someone asked me recently about, like, how did, was it hard to convince your family to do this? And it because we were so dire, it was kind of like, what do we have to lose? Let's just give this a go. Let's just try.
And for those who don't know, I mean, obviously most people know the meme. You got to describe that. The meme, I think everyone will recognize. Maybe describe that one.
Sure. So that was, I wanted to make a short video and a GIF demonstrating what it was like to be a Canadian watching what was happening politically in the U.S. In like 2017. And so I'd set the camera up outside our front window, and I stood behind the curtains. I pulled the curtains open, and there's just amazingly, there's like this fantastic snowfall that's coming down just lightly. And I'm eating from this bag of ketchup chips, and it just says Canada watching US news. So it's kind of like watching your neighbor is the idea. Kind of like, what's going on over there?
Yeah. And that's the first time I saw your work. And so we're talking to Stewart, aka BrittleStar, regarding his viral videos that he has on Twitter and Facebook and other places, and talk about the creative process. So now you're probably producing a lot more videos than before. So how do you? I'm curious about how you do them in batches, because you produce so many. So what's your normal creative process?
So the normal creative process it varies. I mean, certainly in the past year, because of the pandemic, there's been kind of something new every day or two to talk about or to react to. And that's kind of where I feel like kind of hit my stride the best, is kind of being like a modern day version of those editorial cartoons or something you'd get in a newspaper. Not to, I mean, of course, Michael Datter is amazing and that type of person, but and Graham McKay, but that idea of creating content where people are all talking about the same thing on social media, and then you create something to kind of address that. So my creative process is currently like fairly reactive. It's fairly much like I might see something happening in the news or see something that's coming up and go, okay, this is what everyone's talking about, and I'll write a script. So for example, I did a video last Sunday, I guess it'd be a week ago Sunday. Last Sunday. God, it's been a big week. This past Sunday, and I woke up and I was really angry about just another day in the pandemic, and it was just like, it's just horrendous. So I was really, really angry. So I wrote 4 scripts, one of which I might use eventually, but the first one was just like, I was just more angry than anything. Yeah. And I kind of worked my way down until I got to an idea of kind of distilling how I was feeling to find out that, that I was just tired of the pandemic. And that was really that's why I was so angry, is because I was exhausted. And I thought surely other people must be feeling the same way. And I guess they were. Like it's done really, really well as far as views go, and lots of comments from people saying it's resonated with them. And I think that's the key with social media content, is that when you're creating content and content that goes viral, not all the time, but a lot of the time, that content is being used by people as a form of self-expression. So they want their followers to know who they are, and if they can use a piece of content to demonstrate how they feel about something, or what best represents them about some issue or some general feeling, then they'll use that content in that regard. So I feel like there's like a weird sense of functionality to my content. I think that there's, as opposed to just sort of trying to be funny, it's kind of like, well, what's the purpose of this? Like, it's got to be kind of funny, but it's also like, why? What is it doing for the world? And that's kind of been my driving factor creatively for the past few years now.
But for the most part, I mean, most of your videos and content are funny and amusing. But so then how do you, I mean, this one that you did called I'm Tired, that was serious. And so how do you decide between, like, I mean, have you done more serious stuff in the past too? Or have they, because, I often see your stuff and I say, oh, they're usually really funny. Yeah. When do you decide to start interspersing the serious stuff? I
think realizing that I've got a little bit of a platform, and certainly in the past year, my audience has grown considerably, then I feel a bit of a responsibility to kind of speak to that. Back in 2013, when I first got success on Vine, I went to a meetup in Toronto, and when I was crossing the street to Yonge and Dundas Square, and I'd never been recognized for anything before, really at that point. And this woman who was in her 50s ran up to me and gave me a hug, and I didn't know who she was. And she's like, "Oh, I want to thank you for making these videos. They've gotten me through a hard time with my family." And I was like, "Oh, okay." There's like I feel like I'm more aware of who's consuming them. And now it's like, okay, as opposed to just like putting out something stupid and like, who cares? It's like, well, I'm putting out something that might have a life preserver effect for some people. So that kind of gives me a sense of importance. And I think the I'm Tired video, which is much more serious, was really, even though it was very serious, it was kind of like the purpose of the video was to get people to be like, yeah, we're all tired. The way you're feeling, that's how I'm feeling right now too, but we're not done yet. So we just got to pull ourselves together and try to keep moving forward and get out of this pandemic.
And everyone is listening. If you have questions for Stewart in terms of how to make videos go viral and how to create better content. I mean, I know this is focused on LinkedIn, but this is also on Twitter and then Facebook as well. So if you have questions, you can put them below. There's a lot of people that are joining in. Dan and Nova, William, thanks for joining in. By all means, keep commenting, share your thoughts. I want to ask you kind of maybe some general tips for people in terms of how to create content that, let's say, like what makes it go viral? What makes it good content? Can you maybe share your thoughts on that? Sure.
I mean, that's the thing, is that whenever I get asked to do a branded piece of content, it's always like, we'd like to make this go viral. It's like, yes.
Well,
yes.
You can't.
Every video I would like to go viral.
Sure.
But yeah, you can't really plan for that necessarily. My common saying is you can't pick your hits. Like there's videos that I'll do where it's kind of, I think, oh, it'll be okay, but then they'll really go well. So it's hard to necessarily pin that down. However, I will say, like, from a technical perspective, you have to have the means of production at the ready. You have to be able to separate the process of creating and producing, editing, all this sort of grunt work of creating content. All that machinery should be in place so that you can focus on the creative aspect, and you can focus on, I've got an idea, here's how we can do this or explain this or whatever. And then you should be able to put that into the machine and then and create something easily and quickly, as opposed to, okay, how are we going to, if we're doing a video, I've got an idea for a video. All right, so I should probably figure out where the camera is, and maybe we should get some lights. I don't know. And what are we going to do for audio? And it's like that idea of thinking you can kind of put it all together all the time, every time. It's too much work. But if you have things kind of set up, like I'm right now in this is actually a converted garage I'm in currently, but it's been turned into like a little micro sound stage with, there's a big green screen here that I can come across. There's props. There's 2 racks of costumes. There's lighting on the ceiling. There's lighting behind me. There's tons of stuff at the ready. So I don't have to think about it. I can just think about the idea. And then once the idea is on my head and I've scripted it out or got the idea, I know all the tools I need to make that come to life are just ready to go. And I think that's super important. That's often overlooked as well.
And you mentioned the machine. So, are you focused mostly on the creative and the directive aspect, and then you have your family doing the other technical stuff, or are you a one man machine? Like, how does it work?
It's me. It's all me, and I think
Oh,
that
you.
I do that before I get in trouble. I will say that I do get help from my family a lot. Like my youngest son is a great cinematographer, and does help with camera work occasionally on bigger things if we have to do bigger projects. We did a project for Cal Tire once where we drove across Canada. Not drove, we flew across Canada and filmed in different cities. And he ran camera. My wife Shannon ran audio, and then I just had to worry about delivering my lines, which was great. But usually it's down to me. And my wife says, she describes me best by saying, I will spend 4 hours if I know it will save me an hour later. And it's true. I'm lazy in a sense, and that's why I like to have things set up so that I don't have to think too hard. And it is an easy process. And I can pull my video and audio into Final Cut, and I can do it quickly and get it out. I did a video yesterday called Do It Outdoors, which I wrote and recorded the song for it and did the video in about 3 hours in total.
Wow.
And that was just me doing writing, recording, editing, filming, everything, and putting it all together. And that was just because I have things set up here. I have a little studio downstairs. I can do the music. I've got this sort of micro sound stage here where I can do all the visuals. And it's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of when you have the machine set up, you can mess around and you can find out how to do something. And then, next time, okay, great. I want a long shot. So that means I have to put the camera here and I have to do this. And that's the fun part of digital content, is that you get to, you're not wasting film and tape. It's just like, whatever, right. Delete, start again.
Yeah. Start. And speaking of that, have you actually created something you're like, you know what, I'm not airing this?
Yeah. It has happened before. I think one of the lessons I learned fairly early on is that sometimes, first of all, I learned that comedy is really hard. And when I started doing comedy, I actually tried to learn as much as I could, because I would do stuff and it'd be like, this is hilarious to me. Why is no one else finding it funny? There's lots of reasons. But I have done content before where I've, for example, I did a video once when I was traveling out west, but there was a stopover that I had for a day for some other stuff in Calgary. And I stayed in a hotel, and that hotel had one of those showers that has like the amazing, rainforest drop down things.
Oh, yeah.
And like the other stuff that comes on the side. And then there's some suspicious looking jets that are near your crotch, basically. And I thought, this is hilarious. So I thought I'll do a video about me essentially falling in love with my shower. And I won't show anything horrendous, but it'll be evident what's happening is that I've discovered these nozzles lower in the shower. And I did that video, and I immediately got a text from a friend of mine who's a creator in the States. And he was like, no, don't do that. I was like, okay. I pulled it, and he was like, no, this is like watching your dad talk about sex. No, not into it. Not into it.
And speaking of the dad thing, I personally think that a big attraction to your videos that make them go viral is actually your look. And the reason is because to me, you look like a regular dad guy. And that's what makes it so fascinating to see you do that. The video you did the other day with the viral, Pet Shop Boys thing. Like
yeah.
And my friend Abdu was like, hey, he named me. And he was so excited. He named him, right?
Yeah.
I follow the doctors too, right? And
yeah.
But you look like a regular dad guy doing this really creative stuff. And I think that's part of the appeal.
I think there's, I often talk about how to create videos for social media. What I try to do is try to find that low level spectacle, something that's I can't do. Like, we have friends who create videos who have massive budgets and they do crazy huge things and massive things happen. I'm a dad who lives in the suburbs of Stratford, Ontario. So, and I'm tired, and I'm not gonna. But I mean, I think that what I can do is I can take this, which I think is, I've described my brand and my look as, the everyman at least trying is the idea. And I think there's like a weird aspirational quality to it, in that I think the people who are my age and older look at me and go, okay, he's still having fun. Maybe I can have fun. And I think that I have this weird spike of 18 to 24-year-olds who watch my stuff as well, who look at me and think, well, he's old and he's still having fun. I'd like to be like that. So, I mean, I had a guy from an agency from Los Angeles, have a meeting with them recently. This is actually not that recently, 2 months ago. And they said to me, you're no Brad Pitt. And I was like, okay, all right. And they said, people shouldn't want what you're offering, but for some reason they do. And I was like, yeah, that sums it up. That sums it up pretty nicely. That's good. I like it.
Now, and obviously this leading to business too, because you're doing some work for a lot of business organizations. So I think you've made a living of doing this, which is great. So I think that's something that inspires a lot of content creators. I guess my other question for you is, is there any other big dream or goal you have? Like, so for example, Sarah Cooper did all those videos of, Trump, and now she has her own Netflix show.
Yeah.
Do you have any other bigger dream or goal you always wanted to do?
I mean, I think one of the things I've tried to do in the past 5 years is decide, where am I going? And I know I can't plan too rigidly because social media landscape, it changes so dramatically and so quickly. I mean, I had 1.2 million followers on Vine and it just went away. Right. So you can't really rely on that kind of stuff. However, what I can rely on was based on some advice I got when I had my first viral video, the put your finger on the screen video, and it was being ripped from my account and placed on other accounts. It was being put on websites, like newspaper sites, like legitimate sites. It would just take a copy of my video and put it up and not credit me. And it was getting literally tens of, if not hundreds of millions of views. And, a friend of mine said to me, I was like, this is horrible. What can I do about this? And they said, listen, as long as your face is on that video, it's your branding. You're there. People remember you. And that kind of got me thinking about, okay, well, this is now just apart from being a really sexy, amazing, handsome man, I'm a bit of a brand as well. Sure. And, it made me kind of think, okay, what I'd like to do as far as moving forward goes is to kind of take this notion that when people see me or see the name BrittleStar, they have a somewhat of an expectation of what kind of content they're going to get into. They know it's either going to be lighthearted and funny, or it's going to be earnest, or it's going to be whatever. I describe sometimes the content I do as like watching National Lampoon's Vacation, except on television. So there's no boobs and there's no swearing. That's kind of like, it's like the same style of humor, but it's been tamed a little bit. You can show your mom, right. And I think I'd like to create more of that. So just recently, one of my short stories was picked up for a TV deal, and I'm not in it, but I'm just a creative consultant for it. But the idea is I know that I can help push that and promote it, because it's like, if you like the stuff I do in general, you'll probably like this too. So I want to create that brand more and build that brand out and create more things like shows, movies, that kind of stuff, where I might not be in them at all. But if it's got my name connected to it, you know what you're kind of in for, which is fun to me.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and we'd love to get you to do more content on LinkedIn, because I'm a LinkedIn video content guy. So I do a lot of video. Right. I usually do one minute videos, short videos, and that's kind of what I do. Right. I have to ask, because my kids asked me to ask you, because I told them I was going to interview you. So my kids just launched a YouTube channel just 3 days ago. So they had their first opening video, and they recorded their first video after that. And so they wanted to know if you had any tips for them in terms of how to grow their YouTube channel and viewers.
So I will tell them this, that don't be discouraged. First thing to remember when you're creating content is that you can make the best content in the world, but if nobody knows about it, nobody knows about it. So you can't just judge yourself by views or likes, because it's not an accurate representation of how good something is. It just means how many people have seen it. That's it. So it's kind of like if I had if I've got some amazing video on my computer or on my phone, if I take it to a party and I show it to 50 people and everyone loves it, that's great, but it's still only 50 people as opposed to 5 million people. So I think my advice to anyone starting content creation on YouTube specifically is, you need to find a way to drive people to YouTube. So that's difficult. YouTube is a repository. YouTube is like a huge library of destination content. I'm going there. I might get sucked into the rabbit hole when I'm there, but I need a reason to go there. People don't cruise around like they do on Twitter or Instagram or whatever. But I think it's, YouTube is incredibly hard, but at the same time, it's amazing. It's fantastic. You can do your own TV show. I think you just have to find ways for people to find out about it. Marketing is everything. It's 20% fun and content, and then it's 80% marketing after that.
Yeah, I think they're trying to leverage Daddy's social media influence so far.
Well, you should do that. You should help
I have
them
been.
out.
I've been promoting them everywhere. I even put them on LinkedIn, so I'm leveraging it. They're getting better traction than my videos I've had on there for years. So
it's a retirement plan. It's a retirement plan.
Exactly. I want to transition over to talk a bit about the pandemic, and how are you doing? I mean, no, really. I want to really.
I'm doing okay.
How are you doing with it?
No, I'm doing all right. It's, I have these moments, and I tweeted about this a little while ago. I have these sort of episodes called pandemic wobbles. That's what I call them. And it's where my stress and anxiety over the pandemic kind of catches up with me. And it'll knock me for at least a day, if not 2 days. And I kind of have learned now after a year of it to be kind of like, okay, I'll just have to ride this out and just realize I'm stressed out. Maybe it's spiked my blood pressure or whatever. It's like, it's just all because I'm stressed out because of this. And I think it's, it comes from a year of constantly being on our guard. It's like, in Canada, when you go out in the summertime, you just get to go outside. You just walk outside. I'm going to the store and just leave the house and go to the store. But when it comes to wintertime, you're like, I'm going to the store. I will start preparations now. And then 15 minutes later, I'll be into the car to go to the store. I gotta get my boots on, my coat on, my scarf on, my hat on, my mitts on, all that kind of stuff. I might have to scrape the car. There's a whole process. I think it's like that times 100. Because when you go out now to the store or you go anywhere, you're thinking, first of all, is it open? What am I supposed to do when I go to the grocery store? I have to follow these lines. I have to make sure I sanitize my hands. Am I wearing my mask? Oh God, did I touch my face? There's just so many things that you're thinking about that you're constantly on guard in this state of heightened awareness. And you kind of have to be aware of that so you can let go of it every now and then. And I'm not really good at letting go of it, which is why I have these pandemic wobbles. But yeah, I cannot wait for it to be over. I mean, it's funny because I'm not a super social person. I don't go to parties. I don't like hanging out that much with people. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, I want that to be a choice.
Right.
And that's the thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, I've found for me, I was a professional speaker for many years, 15 years speaking. And then that speaking industry was devastated. So I've switched into coaching and online programs, and, it's been a hard transition, but, I think for me, like the tired video was really powerful because I resonate with that a lot. What I see is that we constantly go on this whole Groundhog Day kind of thing where we shut down on Thanksgiving and we shut down, and then what happens is every single time we'd never do enough. And so, in my original take is like, if you just did 6 weeks full lockdown with full wage, rent, mental health support, then what would happen is the case would go down and the narrative, I guess this is working. This is great. Okay, good. And I feel safe because I'm secure and I have the mental health support and I have the financial support to get me through this. And instead, it's gone on for so long and they never do enough of a lockdown. They never do enough with support. And so we just go on this quasi kind of thing. And they make these dumb decisions about let's do it after Boxing Day and let's do it after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And and we keep going into this over and over again. So now what happens? You have a year go by, and now all these conspiracy theories have popped up, and people don't trust anything anymore. And we're all kind of exhausted. And I don't understand why they just. And there's other countries that are doing much better than us, and they're almost back to normal. And and here we are in this thing. We're just basically sitting around waiting for the vaccine to eventually get to all of us. And I don't even know what to think anymore because it's just I find it so frustrating. Like I feel like. It reminds me of the Trump thing in the sense that after 2 years, I just felt tired talking about it on Facebook anymore. Like, and here's another really dumb thing we're doing that no one, it's just over and over and over again. And so
for sure,
that's how I feel in Canada. I feel that way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I think that it is really frustrating. Remember back at the beginning of the pandemic starting last year, and I was really kind of, because it was an instantly global, not instantly, but almost instantly global thing. I was like, well, everyone just pause. Just everything should stop. I shouldn't have to worry about rent. I shouldn't have to worry about mortgage. I shouldn't have to worry about anything. It should just be everybody in it together like a war effort, like some other countries bombing the crap out of us, and just be like, just shut everything down. Let's just like make sure everyone's got food and medicine and all the stuff they need, and let's just keep it down for a bit. And it just never happened, of course, because you're trying to, I think as a politician, you're trying to appease a huge number of people across a wide spectrum of, perspectives and all that kind of stuff. And someone asked me this past week if I'd ever want to be involved in politics, and I'd be absolutely not. It'd be the worst job in the world. And I said, the only thing that gives me some sort of joy is the fact that I think I look at some of the politicians who are in power now who thought it would be a smooth ride. And you're like, no, it's not a smooth ride at all. But I think that's also part of my responsibility when I did the video for the music one, Do It Outdoors. I think people get blasé after a year. They're like, I can't take anymore. I'm just not thinking about it. They get blasé, they get complacent. And it's hard if it hasn't impacted you directly. You sort of look at the numbers on the news and you're like, I don't know what that means anymore. Like, oh, so many people died today. Okay. Unless you have a connection to those people, you're sort of like, it's not really affecting me. So I'm not really sure how to continually process this every single day. So I'd hope that, creating some of the videos and doing it lightly, that it will, with humor, kind of like poke through a little bit, and people be like, well, yeah, all right. No, this is still happening. We just haven't taken on the pandemic, I don't think, and certainly not in Canada, as a war effort. We haven't sort of looked at this as like, we're being attacked and we need to act as one to fix this. And I think that's just too much to comprehend for a lot of people.
And I think you make a really interesting point about, having a platform and having some responsibility towards getting the message out to, it's not like I'm not trying to fight everything. I'm just trying to get a message out like, look, guys, there's things we can do. We can be better. Like, let's just do more and help people out. And, it's interesting to see, like, and where's the blame go? I mean, the government, for example, here, says one thing, does another. They're not really, transparent. And so I think the government certainly is responsible. But I also think there's a big chunk of people that aren't taking responsibility.
For sure.
Well. So it's a combination of those two things, because, everyone's tired and everyone's exhausted. And so at this point, I'm not really sure how it's going to go. Like, we just started a lockdown, stay at home for another month. But and now we're talking about 3,000 cases per month per day versus, last year, 500. What? 500? Oh my God! And then we got down to 100, and oh my gosh, this is great, and we got under control. And now we're like, 3,000. Oh my God, I don't know where we're going with that.
Yeah, I know, and it's quickly. I think what's going to be horrible is if that reality of people suffering and dying from this are start to impact more and more people. It's going to be kind of too late at that point. People are going to be like, oh, wow, this is really serious. It reminds me of what's his face, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Is that his name? And he said, he's like, no, COVID's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's fine. You'll be all right. Then he got COVID and said, totally different statement. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal.
Sure.
And I think that's sort of, it reminds me, my kids used to watch the first live action Scooby-Doo movie, or maybe the second one. I can't remember which one it was. But at the end of the movie, the bad guy tries to jump off with these man-made wings from the top of the building, and he's yelling. As he jumps off, he says, "See you later, suckers!" And the wings break apart, and then he starts yelling, "Help me, suckers!" And that's how I sort of compare those people now. They think, but I've also realized, and I've learned in the past, not that long, but like certainly the past few months, I can't keep being angry at people all the time. I can't carry that all the time. And I have to realize that I might never say it to their faces, but some people are just stupid, and they might be the loveliest people in the world. They just can't, they don't have the ability to comprehend certain things or put things together, or they don't want to, which is usually the case. And you just can't keep getting angry about that. You have to have laws in place to stop people from doing stupid things and harming people. But from a personal perspective, I can't look around at my neighbors and go, well, they're not taking it seriously. I'm never talking to them again. It's like, let's just try to keep it. I'm smart enough, hopefully, to try to help do my part to keep people, myself safe, my family safe, and others as safe as possible. But I can't be responsible for everybody. And I think that's a knock on from social media a little bit. I think there's that notion of we feel like we're personally responsible and we have to react to everything. We don't. We just don't.
Right. So moving forward, when you do like your content, your creative, I mean, obviously you can talk about the pandemic stuff all the time. Are you mindful of trying to find a balance between that and something else?
I mean, yeah. It's funny because for something like the pandemic, what's really been interesting in this past year is that it's really hard to get traction for anything else.
Right.
Up until last week's Saturday Night Live, my Twitter video numbers were rivaling Saturday Night Live's numbers. So we were getting the same numbers of views. And then they did, it's because they were doing funny sketches. Like they were just funny, good sketches,
Right.
but they weren't topical. Whereas mine were very topical. And then they did 2 videos, one about baby boomers getting the vaccine and the other one about NFTs. And they've got like, they just smoked me. They totally took off, and they've got like 2.5 million views each or something. And so it's hard to do content now that's going to get traction that people want to share and enjoy. But I'm mindful of it. But I think also people have kind of now seen me as like, if I started doing something totally to the side, it might seem disingenuous, and it might seem like I'm betraying the trust. Like, wait a minute, he was all concerned about the pandemic just yesterday, and now he's doing something about, fart sounds in a public toilet. Like, this just seems weird. So I'm mindful of it, but I think I'm also mindful of the fact that it's like, this is where we are right now. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's like, this is what's on my mind. So that's probably what's going to come out creatively in the content.
Yeah. And I'll say that, your content certainly inspires me. When the pandemic first started, I wrote a song with my kids because I saw some videos of people talking about pandemics. Because I have a comedic background with Second City and all that kind of stuff. Right. But I never made the video. I'm not good with tech. But I thought it was I took the words of a song and I changed it, of course. And I thought it'd be really funny. And but I didn't do it. But I might do some more, just because now that I'm inspired by you, by this dad, because I'm a dad. I think I'm going to do this stuff too. And now my kids have a YouTube channel. Maybe they'll let their dad even do a video once every blue moon.
How old are your kids now?
They're 10 and 12.
Oh, this is the time to embarrass them. Go for it. You've got a good 4 years at least each, just to just mortify them. Absolutely, for sure.
Exactly. Well, listen, Stewart, it's been great talking to you. We're talking to Stewart from BrittleStar. He does amazing viral videos. You got to check out his stuff. Is there anything that if you want people to reach out to you or follow you, can you just let people know where they can?
Sure. Yeah. So pretty much on any social media platform, just look for @BrittleStar, and you'll find me. You'll see this beautiful face, and that's how you know you got the right person.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for your time and being part of the Power of Connection broadcast. If anybody actually is watching this again or you watch the replay, you can certainly put comments below. You can reply to the tweet, or you can comment on the Facebook groups. And follow his stuff. I love what you're doing, and I hope someday to meet you in person if it's possible.
Wow, I can't even. It seems unimaginable at this point, doesn't it?
I have a vision for fall something, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I got my first vaccine shot yesterday. I'm going to get my second one end of July, and
amazing.
Yeah. By that time, maybe it'll be pretty good. So we'll see how it goes.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Stewart. All the best to you, and we'll see you out there. Okay.
Thank you too. Take care.